Hi. Last video we talked about the components, or if you want, the contents of a health and safety program. Safety in any organization needs to have a foundation, a base to build upon. And this foundation starts with a good, robust health and safety policy. Now, there's a lot of confusion around health and safety policy. What is it? How long does it need to be? Do we need to get a lawyer to write it? Are we required to have a policy addressing every single component of the program? So let's take a deeper dive and answer these and other health and safety policy questions.
Yeah, come on, tell us more.
I'm also going to ask you to stick around until the end because I got another important question. What is it? What's a health and safety policy? Well, here's a quick definition of a policy. It's a course or principle of action adopted or proposed by a government, party, business, or individual. Now, a simple way to look at that is it basically is how your organization is going to carry out the action or a set of tasks and duties, in this case, related to health and safety, and it's covered off in a high-level, broad, brief statement. Policy really needs to drive and empower your health and safety management system or program. Next question obviously is going to be how is policy used? What's it used for? And it's a good question. Policy is used for a few things and meant to have a few functions within the health and safety program. One is governance. Policy will, if it's worded correctly, provide governance over the health and safety processes within your organization. It also provides guiding principles, basically an overarching view of how and what your organization wants safety to be. Done right, it also fosters a genuine and effective health and safety culture. Well, that being the case, do we need a policy for every single component in the health and safety program? It's neither yes or no. It's basically dependent on what your organization does or needs or how your organization functions. If it's heavily reliant on policy governance, maybe so. A lot of organizations do it and it works for them. Myself personally, I don't advise it. I only think that you should have one health and safety policy and that's it.
Just one?
And let me expand upon that and tell you why. If you have one health and safety policy, it's great. Then you only have one policy to edit. And it usually doesn't have a cascading effect. But if you have several policies, if you edit one, let's say, for instance, you edit a policy governing health and safety committees, that may have a direct effect on other functions in the workplace, such as workplace inspections or workplace investigations.
Well, that would be bad.
Yeah, very well might be bad. Keep in mind, depending on your jurisdiction, you can be held accountable for not adhering to your internal health and safety policy, so that also might hamstring you if you have too many policies. So great, what goes into a health and safety policy? Obviously wording. Words matter. It's important that you use the right words in the right places. Catchwords like will and must indicate required adherence for any task. Now, words like should and may indicate like an option. So your policy should include will and must. If it includes should and may, then what can happen is there might be an attitude of, oh, well, health and safety is optional for me. Your health and safety policy also has to have guiding principles within it. Use phrases like manage risk or managing risk, protect the health and safety of workers, protect the health and safety and environment, protect the environment, reduce and eliminate hazards, consider continuous improvement, things like that. Or you want to have those direct guiding principles within your health and safety policy. You also need to include expectations for the organization. Now, one of the things you want to stay away from is singling out different groups or different people within your policy. A lot of policies will be written management and employee, or management does this, employee does that. Use the whole entire organization. An example might be Provoking Safety will manage the health and safety and risk of all of its operations. So you want to look at participation at all levels. Now, things that you don't need to include, following legislation, complying with law. That's implied. That's absolutely assumed.
Of course, silly Billy.
Now, you can include it. You don't need to, but you can. I often do. It's just the way I work. But it doesn't matter if it's not included within your policy. Now, what you shouldn't include is specific names of people or places, specific positions, buildings, etc. Things that can change over a period of time. Think evergreen, okay? A good policy today should still be good 5 years from now. Not saying that you're not going to review it and maybe edit it depending on current events or market needs. But the idea is you want to think that with some longevity for your policy. So great. Well, what about that policy statement that you mentioned, Kevin? A policy statement is a bit more granular. You start off with your basic policy and then you add additional bullet points underneath it or a series of less broad statements so that you can further outline the actions of your organization or what your desire is for the organization is regarding health and safety. So, for instance, you can establish some further actions and expectations such as provoking safety will establish a joint health and safety committee. Provoking safety will implement a health and safety management system, things like that. You can outline some more granular expectations for groups such as the executive will support and fund necessary health and safety processes for the longevity of the program. You can include mission and vision statements from your organization. You can also further describe your organization's desire for a best practice and high-aiming safety culture. So, which is better, the policy itself or the policy statement? It really doesn't matter. It becomes an either or both and. Often, in most cases, organizations will do both. They'll have a policy that they use for their internal governance, but they will create robust policy statement that they will post on their intranet and possibly the internet so that they can both promote a good health and safety culture within their organization, plus demonstrate their attitude towards health and safety to their external stakeholders. Both can be very, very helpful in building a health and safety culture and the impression of health and safety by externals. So let's put it all together. Provoking Safety is committed to protecting the health and safety of its workers and the environment by identifying hazards and reducing risk in all aspects of its working operation. This moral and legal obligation is fulfilled by implementing a health and safety environmental management system in compliance with legislation and embracing the goal of continuous improvement. So what I'm going to do is leave down below in the description the wording for what I just said, the health and safety policy, and I'll also leave an expanded policy statement version that you're welcome to use as a template if you want to springboard you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, sure. The moment you publish your policy, you're likely going to want to edit or change things. Resist the temptation to publish it right away. Sit on it. Let it soak for a bit. A good idea today is a good idea next week. Make sure it has a realistic and genuine feel to it, that it embodies the desire for a safety culture within your organization. Platitudes are useless, and they can be damaging because they can result in apathy towards the safety program and even safety itself. Always try to encompass the entire organization when you're composing the policy. Let's sum it all up. Now, don't run away. As I said, still got another question. Health and safety policy is necessary. It's part of the health and safety management system. It's often required by legislation in a lot of jurisdictions. It needs to be the cornerstone for your health and safety in your organization. It needs to be the driver, the governance. It also has to include some very good base guiding principles for you to build on. It needs to mirror a healthy safety culture by universal acceptance and, of course, extolling continuous improvement. Policy needs to be evergreen, so avoid using terms and places and position and names and things that change over time. Whatever you do, don't include current events because they can fade from memories really quick.
Wow, I totally forgot about that.
Keep it short. Use your expanded policy statement if you want to promote and foster health and safety culture in your organization. Now, for that question, how do you write policy? How do you create it in your organization? Do me a favor, leave a comment below. I'm interested. I'd like to know. What I do, what works for me, is I engage the Health and Safety Committee in an organization, draft the policy, send it up to the executive for their tweaks, edits, or outright approval. And work with that process because what you end up with is a good bottom-up and top-down process where everybody in the organization has an awareness of the health and safety policy and an acceptance. Hey, great, you stuck around to the end. Do me a favor, if you like the video, just give the like button a click. Actually, it's down there, but give me a click. If you want to learn more about health and safety, I got a few links up here that I encourage you to have a look at. Let me know what you think of those as well. I appreciate every comment I get. Now, until we see each other again, do me a favor, lead by example. Think about safety, talk about safety, but do safety wherever you end up. Until we see each other again, take care. Bye for now.